Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks to The Hungry Gamer is back with another mini review, and today we're talking about Shackleton Base, designed by Fabio Lopiano, Nestor Manconi, with art by David Sitban and published by Pandasaurus Games. And what this game is this is a relatively heavy Euro game with a lot of asymmetry depending on the different factions that you put into the game. And before I go any further, I will say thank you very much to Noble Knight Games, who is the channel sponsor, and because of that channel sponsorship, I was able to actually get a copy of this game, and that is how this video is coming to you. Now, with that being said, what this game is this is a worker placement and tableau building style game with just a little bit of area control. And what's going to happen is at the beginning of each of the rounds, and there's going to be 3 rounds in the game, you're going to have a choice of a shuttle that you are going to take. And that shuttle is going to have some resources on it, and it's also going to have 6 different astronauts of different colors on it, red, blue, and yellow. And those shells are also going to determine the turn order for that round. And what's going to happen is, on your turn, you're going to place one of your astronauts. And you have 2 broad choices. You can place it on the crater, which is the big middle of the board. You'll place it somewhere around the outside. And depending on the color of astronaut that you place, you're either going to get money, if it's a red astronaut, for each powered up section that has a little solar panel and buildings on it, or you're going to get to activate the icons that are little circles that are around the various buildings, again in each powered up sector, or you're going to be able to get the resource that is in the middle of each hex of the crater. And depending on who controls that sector, in other words, who has the most building circle areas, or as you can look on the board there's spaces that have just a single kind of circle or double circles put together or triple circles, etc. And whoever has the most presence in that area will control it. And if you don't control the sector, you're still going to activate the sector. You're still going to get the bonus, but you're going to have to pay whatever the cost is that you placed your meeple on around the outside of the board. Or you're going to place your worker onto the bottom right side of the board, where you're either going to build, or you're going to fund a project, which means you're going to get a card that's going to go into your tableau, or you're going to activate corporate actions, which is the blue worker. And the more times that's been activated in any given round, the more expensive it's going to be. Now, when you're building a building, you're going to have to pay some resources, and you'll take a building off of your board and you're going to place it out somewhere in the crater. And if there's already a solar panel there, great. If there's not a solar panel there, then you're going to have to power it up by paying a single rare element, kind of diamondy looking things, to build a solar panel. That's going to give you more power for everybody, and power is a shared resource. The next thing is you're going to fund a project. And depending on the corporations that you have, and I haven't really mentioned this a lot, but you're going to have 3 corporations in every game out of a total of, I believe it's 9, or maybe it's just 8. And you're going to kind of mix and match those. They're all going to do different things. And so the corporate actions are going to be, well, a hodgepodge of different things. It might allow you to put tourists onto some of the cars in your tableau. It might allow you to load things that you've mined out of the moon onto shuttles. It might allow you to do a research project. It might allow you to kind of plant moon gardens. It might allow you to do some space scanning to try to figure out where the asteroid's going to hit at the end of the game. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to be able to do with these different corporate actions, and as I said, they're going to change each game. And then at the end of each round, you're going to kind of look around the edge of the crater, and whoever has the most presence in each column that the workers are connected to, they're going to get to take those workers and they're going to go into their moon base. And if you have space, depending on what buildings you put out, that will allow you to put a worker into that space. And by putting workers into your buildings, you're going to get different benefits. It might be money, it might be points, it might be reputation, it might be discounts on paying your upkeep, whatever. And you're going to play through 3 rounds. Whoever's most points at the end is going to win. Now, what you've seen up in the corner, maybe full screen, has been one of the rounds of a solo play that I did. And this game also has a pretty simple to operate solo play bot that you can do. Allows you to play a 2-player game fairly easily. So with that said, what do I like about this game? So this is not a Kickstarter game, which means this is not a deluxe style game. And for a retail game, this is a very good production. It has really good cheat sheets that actually speeds up setup. If you're playing multiple players, you just say, hey, here, take this cheat sheet, do what it says, here's the box. Because there's also separate boxes that are very clearly labeled with what goes in them for almost all of the components. All of the different factions has their own little box. It's really easy to set things up. It's just fantastic. Also, it has good 2-layer boards that are not warped. Now, this is kind of a relatively recent thing where you get 2-layered boards that actually aren't connected. They're actually kind of one thing. You kind of fold them over, and that's what you do in this. You just fold them over. You have a 2-layered board, not warped at all. Wonderful. Now, there is one upgrade I know you can get from Pandasaurus. I'll talk about that later in this video. Next thing I'll say is the solo is very good. It really is simple to play. You're going to flip out a card, lay it next to the card that was already out there, and it's going to tell you what to do. It is very fast, it is very easy to operate, and you can easily play all of the different corporations just by putting out a different solo card. It works very, very well. It's really easy to do, and the only thing that ever really slows you down is when you're placing workers around the crater. You're going to place it out in the area that you're most likely to win a worker. So that might take a little bit of math, but it's very, very fast turns. I really like the way that it works. Next thing I really like is the variety that you get from the corporations. They really do change the game up immensely every time you play, and the combination that you have just really makes things unique and different with every single play. Speaking of the corporations, the way that they work is really, really fun. There's some that are recipe fulfillment. There's some that are, as I mentioned, you're kind of going up a track trying to stop the asteroid from smashing into the moon. You can stop it all together. You can figure out where it's going to go, whatever. Very cool. There's space tourism where you're actually buying cards, putting them in your tableau, and then you're using the corporate action to get the tourist astronauts off of that board onto your cards. They're going to give you benefits. And when we put them back, you can get points, and etc., etc. There's a bunch of other things that you're able to do. It's really clever the way that all of them work. The next thing I'll say is the beginning of the round bidding is really fun. It's really clever because you're going to be bidding for turn order, which can really matter, especially because only some of those bottom right activations are free. So suddenly you have to have money to do things unless you're going first. So maybe that makes you want to go faster than rather go later. I think that's really clever. But also the way that each shuttle has a different combination of astronauts is so important, because I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten to the second third of a round and been like, oh, I really wish I had another yellow astronaut. If only I'd taken the other shuttle that I could have taken at the beginning, but I decided I wanted 2 more credits, which, oh look, I have 3 credits sitting in my stash here, so I didn't even need that. It's really important what you take, and it's really fun when you draft a shuttle that later on you're like, this was the perfect shuttle for me. Really, really satisfying. Next thing I'll say is the choice between going to the crater and going to the actions is really challenging. This is a tight game resource-wise, and so every time you're placing an astronaut, it's a hard decision of, do I want to go to the crater because that's going to give me some stuff that's going to let me do a really cool turn later on, but I might have to pay more money if I don't just do it right now. And it's always really, really satisfying. The same thing when you're thinking about different corporate actions, especially when you take the spot that gives you 3 corporate actions. Often, it's a hard choice. Do I want to do something that's going to allow me to do the point scoring thing on these corporate actions, or do I want to just get some more reputation? Because reputation is going to matter later on in the game. Really, really satisfying the way that works, especially when you start thinking about the different bonuses that you get, because when you do those actions, you get different bonuses depending on which color worker you put there. If you match the color of astronaut with the action you're taking on the bottom right, you get an extra bonus. So it's all very, very, very satisfying the way that that works. The last thing I'll say is I really like the way the cards work in those tableaus that you're building. It's not easy to get cards, or relatively expensive, but if you can figure it out, how to get some of those cards and make them kind of chain together, it's intensely satisfying. So what are my quibbles with the game? First one, this is really not a fair thing for me to say, but there is a deluxe upgrade of solar panels, and it's 18 little wooden tokens for like 20 bucks. Ridiculous. Like, don't get me wrong, I wish I had them, but I ain't paying 20 bucks for them. Next thing I'll say is, this is a game that does not care about your feelings. You can get obliterated in this game. It is not out of the realm of possibility that you go into the start of the third round and you have scored 0 points. It is not impossible. It's also not impossible for you to still win the game, but it does not care about your feelings. You can screw this game up, and you can screw it up royally, and you can get smashed. Next thing I'll say is, it's not the easiest game to learn, and you would think that's because of the different corporations, but that's not it. It's a hard game to learn because so many things are affected by something else. I can put this down and I'm going to activate this row. Yeah, but not really. I'm only going to activate the places that are powered up, and I'm only going to activate for free the ones that are powered up and I control. And the other ones, I still have to activate. So I have to pay. If I can't pay, I can't go there. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of how everything is interlinking and interlocked. And so it can be very hard to understand what's going on the first time through. The first time you play the game, you're going to be halfway through, and then you're going to say, oh, yeah, I see all the mistakes that I've made in my life, and everything is terrible. But by then you've already played a lot, and then you're going to still play a second game, and you're still going to be making mistakes. So it's not the easiest game to learn, even though the rulebook is pretty solid, I think. Next thing I'll say is, you just can't do everything. You kind of have to lock into 1 or 2 corporations when you play. I'm sure really good players can figure out a way to do all 3 of them, but this is one of those games that if you try to do everything, you're really doing nothing. And that's kind of a bummer, because all the corporations are fun. Even the ones that are just recipe fulfillment, it's fun to do, and you want to do it, and you want to figure it out. But when you try to do that, you wind up being the person that goes into round 3 with 0 points. Next thing I'll say is there's a few ambiguities with the solo mode, at least to my understanding with the rules. There's a few times when I couldn't figure out exactly how the corporate action for the solo bot worked, and I just made a choice and moved on. And that's just a little bit of a bummer. That's just not quite a perfect thing. And then the last thing that I'm going to say is, this really is, I'm going to call it an unexplainable skill game. You can be good at this game, but I can't tell you how to get good at this game. I am not good at this game. I really enjoy playing this game, spoiler, but I can't tell you what it is that would allow someone to be good at this game. I guess be really smart. I don't know. And because of that, I am positive if I teach someone new how to play this game now after the number of times I played, I'm going to obliterate them. I'm going to smash them, and I'll probably smash them the second time, maybe the third time too, because there is a skill to understanding how everything interlocks. We've all seen that meme of the guy just kind of staring at all the math equations going in front of him. Every time you look at this board, that's what's going on. And that's really not a particularly helpful critique, but that's what I got. It is an unexplainable skill game. You really have to have an understanding, or like I said, be real smart. But there you have it, folks. That is Shackleton Base. I really like this game. This game is one that I was excited about because a lot of people were talking about it after Essen last year. It wasn't available for purchase here in the US until June or July, something like that. I think I got mine in mid-July. And I really enjoy it. I've played it several times 3-player and several playthroughs of the solo play, and every single time I've had a really good time. Even in the plays where, as I said earlier, I went into round 3 with no points. Even the times that I got obliterated, I've really enjoyed this game. It has a certain je ne sais quoi about it, which I'm sure is very insulting because the designers are clearly Italian, but it has something about it that I really enjoy. It's really fun. I've enjoyed the solo. In fact, there is actually one of the corporations I still haven't played with yet because I've just been kind of mixing and matching the others, and I found, oh gosh, I really just like the simplicity of this one here. I want to try this one again. This one here I've played with, but I've never really dug into. I want to do that. And that's really fun. This is one of those games that is instantly into the running for Game of the Year for me. This is a bit of a heavier Euro than I usually like, so we'll see if it winds up being in there, but it's definitely one that I'm considering. It's definitely one that if you like a heavier Euro, you like this idea of asymmetric factions that you're going to put into the game every single time, you have minor powers, but whatever, then this is one that you should really be checking out. It is a very good game, and I'm really pleased with it. So there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.